All right, and here comes my story. It begins with a rather casual situation. I wanted to do a renovation at my home. I live in a house which is like almost 100 years old, and it has this typical Dutch narrow staircase. And there are some pipes and meters at the entrance to my house which really get in the way. They're quite large, and whenever I have like a larger piece of furniture or so, it's just disturbing. So I thought like it's time I own the place, so I thought I should start doing something about it. But as you know, I'm talking about gas and electricity pipes. But as you know, the meters are yours, right? It's in your house, but in fact, it doesn't really belong to you. The pipes that enter your apartment and the meters also belong to the energy company. So I quickly found out that in order to replace them or do something about them, I'm quite trapped in some bureaucracy, and it turned out to be costly and very complicated actually to do something about it. But still, I did some research on what to do, and I encountered that there was a possibility to modernize a bit that section of my house and get a so-called smart meter. And one of the options is to get a smart meter that has the gas and electricity combined in one, right? So that was great because I could move some pipes and get it a bit fixed. And the background of the story is that I don't know if you know, but until 2020 there was this European Union directive to replace the meters, the analog dump meters, with so-called smart meters, in order to facilitate the so-called smart grid. Dutch government follows this proposal of the EU and starts implementing the smart meter revolution from 2016. I was actually volunteering to be, one of the first ones because I wanted to fix my house, whatever. Not a very smart idea. Join the smart grid. The smart grid, better management of power, a lot of good things, consumer awareness, sure. One of the things is that these meters can be read wirelessly, right? So just now you would report once per year what your usage of energy and gas is, more or less on paper. Now it will be read on distance. Back to the story. So I requested that smart meter, expecting a large modernization in my house. And it took 2 or 3 months, very annoying, to make an appointment. Finally, the guy appeared. I was expecting, he will fix my pipes and get it organized because, it's a house of almost 100 years old with old infrastructure. Not the case. He came, spent maybe 20 or 30 minutes, very, very quick, almost like in white gloves. He basically took the analog meters and placed the new ones, the smart meters, electronic ones. And then left. And then I just looked at that alone and started to realize, oh my God, what has just happened? I started missing my dump meters right away because I realized I just got 2 mobile phones glued onto my wall. In fact, these 2 meters, the gas and electricity meters, I didn't get one. I got 2 separate ones in the same place where I had them. And I just noticed that they are not, better. They're in fact, they look a little bit better, but they are not much smaller. They're still big. They still get in the way. So in fact, the whole operation didn't get me anywhere. Though they are white, they are in fact sort of black boxes. You don't really know what they do. You know a bit, but you have to trust the black box or the owners of the black box. Do you know the term jailbreaking? When you jailbreak your phone in order to, install apps not from the app store that belong to the, or, when you want to do other things. So, mobile phones are kind of jails. Also, my 2 smart meters are kind of 2 jails. and literally, yeah, there are seals, physically, there's seals on it, so I can't open it. That was also the case with the analog meters, but now it's like, it's even worse because they are sealed, but also there's like back doors, so you can sort of, take information from the meter sort of digitally, wirelessly. The smart meters have a GPRS module, which is something you have in your phone for wireless communication. Now, Dutch law allows to wirelessly read the data only once in 2 months, right? Dutch law. But how do we know that? There's absolutely no transparency or information, whether or notification for the user whether it's going to be read once in 2 months or more often. You just don't know that as a user of that meter. Smart meters register everything, every tiny fraction of energy use or gas use. So, for instance, if I turn on a small lamp in my bedroom, or if I'm taking a hot shower, that will be registered and logged precisely in time. And of course, on the base of the energy peaks, you can, read a bit the data, what is being used at a given time. So you have live registration of everything, and it's being logged, recorded onto the memory that's built in the smart meter. And then the question is, okay, let's say it's all memorized, all the logs, but then you still wonder, okay, so if they read the data, the energy company reads the data every 2 months, what are they actually reading? The amount of your energy usage or the entire logs? With everything. It's just that we don't know, because there's no way we can verify that. There's me as the user of the meter, I don't have an access to the kind of information, or I cannot check, I cannot be in control of what's actually happening. So, so thank you, Hans, for bringing this book. Because, there is basically a large threat to privacy of, all of us, because you all going to get these meters if you don't have them yet. I'm like a pioneer. And also, it's a threat to privacy, but also, security at your own home. You can easily imagine that theoretically speaking, somebody from outside could, would know your life patterns, when you're at home, when you're not at home, what do you do? Yeah, you can easily imagine all consequences, the potential consequences of that. Something technical, because I'm really researching these new phenomena in the house technically. The meters have 4 ports. P1, P2, P3, and P4. P1 is actually a physical port, a socket, like a telephone cable. Which is, the most accessible port, because it's just live, it throws information. So you have a lot of these consumer devices like, a little iPad you can glue on your phone, like Eneco has something like that, so you can read your patterns of your energy usage just for the user. So that's quite a transparent port. But it has 3 other so-called virtual ports, which you have no access to. P2 port communicates it's a communication between the electricity meter and the gas meter. Okay, so because they are separate, and the gas meter is sending data to the electricity meter. P3 is pushing all the data to the low voltage network manager, which is a device that's outside of your house. And then the P4 is the port where you actually read these logs of 2 months as it's being officially reported. And that's basically an XML file with all the data. Now, when I got my, so basically you can easily play around with the P1 port, but P4, P3, P2, it's more complicated, but I'm doing my best. Now, the thing is, when you get these meters, you're just, you had an analog one, then you get a new one, and of course there are all kinds of new consequences of having a smart meter, digital privacy and communication and so forth. So I was really surprised I didn't have to sign any terms and conditions. Because, recently I also bought a TV. I didn't have a TV for 15 years. I got a TV, modernizing my house. And yeah, you know, like today, TV is not just a TV, it's basically a computer because it has a built-in camera, it has whatever accounts, it's in the cloud, it's, you know, it does voice recognition, does face recognition, God knows what. So when I turned on my TV for the first time, I had to accept terms and conditions on the fucking TV, you know? So, so if I can do that on a TV, then, you know, and then I have this government sort of, you know, installing this equipment, you know, consequently for all houses in the whole country, then I would expect, you know, they would give me some chance to read out, because maybe my contract should be, or, you know, my contract with the energy company should look differently. This didn't happen, so no terms and conditions. And yeah, so what I did, there are a lot of problems and paradoxes of the whole situation. So I'm doing now a set of interventions, and this is the first one. So I decided to turn the smart meters back into dumb meters again by wrapping them in aluminum foil. It's kind of create a kind of Faraday cage around them, so basically they would not send data. I did it on both meters, so I'm also basically already hacking the situation in my own house that the gas meter cannot report to the electricity meter. But also, the most important is that it doesn't communicate to the outside world. So that's easy. You can all do that soon if you get your smart meters. I don't know if there's a smart meter in that package, but we can check it later. That's why I took it. Of course, there's, again, speaking of paradoxes of law, now I'm curious, like imagine, okay, they will get a signal that, or they will not get a signal that, you know, the meters are operating. I could expect someone ringing on my door to check that. But then I can say like, whoa, you installed a smart meter which was supposed to read wirelessly and that you don't come to my house to read it. So basically I could, you know, perhaps I could have some legal possibility to block people entering my home to check, anyhow. But, yes, almost there. So that's the first attempt. The second attempt, I'm going to get this fantastic wireless signal readers and sniff basically on GPRS, not so much on the what's in the content, but just when it is active. I would like to be notified about the moments where the meter is actually sending that data, because that's not the case now. So I'm working on that. And then there's a third option, which I'm going to try just to find out how they work. I'm going to switch them off. That's illegal. I'm already working because I really want to fix the pipes in my house. So I'm going to, you know, I'm going to replace them and do some things. I'm going to take illegal action, also switch them off and see what happens. Yeah, and there are more explorations of that kind. And last closing words. So, you know, yeah, maybe I'm a bit of a whistleblower for the smart grid. But it's not that I'm, you know, really afraid of being spied on or so. I don't think I'm such an interesting person to be spied on. But just like with the NSA in the United States, you know, I just find it difficult to accept that large amount of data about myself and the others, my behavior is being collected somewhere, analyzed. It may get into wrong hands once. It may leak. There are a lot of problems around that, and now it's also on the level of even, you know, electricity and gas and just all of these kind of things. So I'm very much into electronics, interactive media, and so forth. But there are limits. Thank you very much.
I just wondered, their meters, are they also controllers? Like, if the electricity company turns off your power because you haven't paid your bills, do they do it through the meter?
Yeah, they can do that with the meter. So they
does
can
that
cut
mean
off
someone
the power.
else could turn off your?
Yeah.
So Fortune, you go, look,
Yes,
you
and there are
mister,
examples.
I'm turning off your power.
Yeah,
Because I don't like.
there are already examples of.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, the meter has the possibility to be switched off. You can cut off power remotely.
Yeah. Well, I think you're already taking a few steps towards action, but I'm wondering, in the moment that all of the citizens in the Netherlands will have these smart meters, what kind of actions can we take further, and do you envision already some other next steps that you will take towards fighting against this? In the case, I just give the government, the company, or a potential attacker can know that your kids are in the suburb right now. So what kind of steps we can take as citizens towards
Well, so first what I'm doing is about awareness. I just really want to know how they work, right? So if we know how they work, then I think you can think of little smart devices that are, you know, that are cheap and can easily measure or you know, notify or alarm people when they use wrong. You know, so I'm thinking in direction of anti-weapons. Right now, and the first anti-weapon is aluminium foil, but it could be smarter than that.
Last question.
Well, I think this is also about the trigger story of that your data is worth a lot to big companies.
Sure.
And now there are also companies that say, okay, if your data is worth something, you should get the money for it if you want to sell it. So you can kind of stock your data from Facebook or whatever. You can say, I keep it for me, or I'm going to sell a car, I'm going to sell a horse. What do you think about such concepts?
You know, I'm very curious what will happen when this smart grid will be fully implemented and everybody, you know, having these smart meters, for instance, and having some forms of terms and conditions, and yeah, I think people need to own their data to some extent, and then yeah, if somebody wants to trade, you know, or sell it some data, then it's up to him or her. I'm not into it myself, but that's like probably one of the. I can easily imagine like some weird translation of your activity on your electricity and gas network to bitcoins and stuff of that kind. So definitely a lot of new situations will emerge in the coming years. But first, we just need to know. It's just about transparency. Of course, I'm fully aware that this part of my house belongs to me, but also belongs to the company, which I have a deal with that. But I still want to know, because it was just with the analog meter, it was clear when they read it, how they read it. Now it is just not. And there are also, by the way, there are a lot of papers written at universities around the country, you know, by lawyers, by people into technology who, you know, have a clear message that there are a lot of things that are just not clear, and there is serious violation of the things I was speaking.
All right. Thank you, Pawel.